Tips for buying a used eFoil. This video will be an informative video that you can watch or simply just listen to like a podcast, wherever you may be, doing whatever you may be doing. My goal is to provide a more future-proof guide and cover these tips in such a way to preserve their relevance well into the future. In order to simplify and keep this shorter, I will not be providing images and I will keep talk of specific brands to a minimum because the eFoils and tech that exist today, along with the circumstances and conditions, will be different tomorrow and in years to come. I will be reading heavily from this document I have written to manage time and to ensure that I do not forget anything. Nevertheless, with all that said, there's a chance you or I may think of something else important later that should be added or corrected. Please share anything important and point out needed corrections, and I will put those changes in a pinned comment at the top of the comment section below. This is the case of all of my informative videos, so be sure to check for a pinned comment on any and all of my videos across YouTube. Also, check the video description for resources, links, and other information. Please subscribe, like, and all the rest of the good stuff. You know how it goes. Consider it like a donation or a tip for service and pleasure that doesn't cost you a dime. These tips are very important. They are not only for buyers and will benefit sellers as well. These tips could save you thousands of dollars in repairs or replacements, heartache, delays from being able to ride your eFoil, delays that could be months or even more than a year. The first tip is most important and really summarizes the entire video and all other tips in this video. So number 1, treat your purchase the same way as you would the purchase of a used jet ski or even a small boat. An eFoil is considered a vessel by the U.S. Coast Guard and by most, if not all, states, as well as many other countries. As a vessel, it may likely require registration to use it on your local waterways. An eFoil has an HIN, which stands for hull, H-U-L-L, the body of a vessel, hull identification number. It's similar to a VIN as you would find on a vehicle. Like a vehicle, you'll want to give it a test drive or a test flight in this case, but there's no sense taking a test drive without kicking a few tires first. And we'll get into the kicking the tires, which includes checking for damage and stuff, later in these tips. We want to cover a few things before we even start kicking tires, depending on your position and what you're looking for and your experience. So number 2, consider buying from an authorized partner, dealer, or school, especially if you are new to eFoiling or foiling in general. Buy from an authorized reseller will better check off the remaining list of tips that I have to share. You may also prefer a brand of eFoil that can provide more local support and service in the future and also currently. So, choosing a local supported brand is only one of 30 criteria to consider that I cover in another informative video on YouTube like this one that I have called Choosing the Best eFoil for You. Capital Y, capital O, capital U. Not for anyone else, but for you. So you can also check that video out as well. A dealer or partner is more likely to be able to provide an extended warranty, whereas a random individual will not always be able to transfer remaining warranty they may have, pending the brand or circumstances. Number 3, proper and complete paperwork to pass on the ownership of the eFoil. A previously registered eFoil will be easiest to put in your name as the new owner. However, this is not to say you should ignore eFoils that have not been previously registered as long as you have all of the necessary documents and/or you are fully aware of the necessary steps and potential obstacles to register the eFoil in your location and for your circumstances. I have multiple videos that discuss registration that I have compiled into one playlist that you can watch for more details on my experience with registration, but it's limited to Utah and Arizona because that's where Lake Powell is. Every state's going to be different. But in summary, you will need an original MSO or MCO. That's the manufacturer's statement of origin or manufacturer certificate of origin. Not a copy, the original. You're going to need the bill of sale, which is like a fancy receipt, and proof of tax paid or an exemption that you don't need to pay tax that you can show. Now, this is a good time to share the possible problems you may encounter if you don't have all the proper paperwork. These are examples from the state of Arizona and Utah only. Again, that's where I live, right on the border. They could change in the future. So all these things could change in the future. Your state or country may be different. Arizona, you register at the Game and Fish Department. If you lack proper paperwork, and this is a doozy, you will have to wait till the craft is 2 or more years old past the manufacturer date. Watercraft inspection and affidavit are required. So if you don't have that necessary paperwork and you're registering in Arizona, you're going to have to wait until that craft is 2 years old if it isn't already. And, you know, that sucks. That sucks. Utah, DMV is where you register in Utah. HIN and watercraft inspection is necessary. Insufficient evidence of ownership paperwork will need to be filled out, which can take up to 30 to 90 days for the process of that paperwork. Again, you're going to be suffering a delay of use of your watercraft depending on how things are, enforced in your area. If you have all the original paperwork, but the previous owner did not register, you may need more than just a simple note and signature from the original owner indicating transfer of ownership. You also might be stuck paying the original value of the eFoil and tax. Remember earlier I mentioned that you're going to need to show tax paid or show that you're exempt in tax or a different amount of tax. This is a subjective matter that you'll need to figure out on your own base, on your location and time. Number 4, educate yourself on what to look for or what to look out for. Get a second opinion. Join an online community for the specific brand or brands of eFoil that you are looking to buy. I would advise against asking these questions in a general eFoil group because it's only going to open up a can of worms signaling debates between brands, unless of course you're looking for that. Or ask a knowledgeable owner of the same brand who is not the seller. You can ask them in person, unless of course you trust the seller really well and you know them. And or contact the manufacturer to ask specific questions about the brand and model and year that you're looking at. If you have an expert you can bring along, it's going to be really beneficial for you. Consider bringing a second person along, even if it's just for safety in numbers, or meet the seller in a more public location. Number 5, get the HIN from the deck, the hull of the board, and the serial number of the drivetrain. So the mast and the motor, there should be a serial number somewhere on that, some kind of identification number, if it's available, so that you can do your own homework and research on the history of the eFoil as available to you. You can call the manufacturer to ask about the history of the eFoil, such as repairs, services, and confirm the accuracy of any remaining transferable warranty to you. This is one time in the video that I'm going to mention a specific brand for an example of transferable warranty. Fliteboard is a brand and is a well-known eFoil brand that has transferable warranty as long as the previous owner did not void that warranty. Every purchase of Fliteboard comes with a 2-year warranty if direct or through a Fliteboard partner or dealer. Warranty starts from the date of delivery or pickup. Every 100 hours or 12 months, a year, whichever comes first, the drivetrain must be serviced. And again, this is where that serial number is going to become really handy to know and to research this. The drivetrain must be serviced every 100 hours of use or 12 months. And if that service has not been complete, the warranty will be voided for the second year and also for any future owners for that matter. If the flight board is 1 year old, the previous owner must have completed that service. You will need to provide Flight, the company, or a flight board partner shop proof of service via invoice if requesting a warranty service. Flight staff advice says check proof of purchase for purchase date. If over 1 year old, request proof of 100-hour service and call the service partner or flight to confirm. I almost forgot, I wanted to take the moment to thank Nathan from Flightboard, who gave me a lot of information and answered my questions about the warranty passing on to another owner, and also just anyone and everyone over the years that I've garnered information and help and all that from. Now let's move on to the video. Number 6, damage inspection. Now we're on to the kicking of the tires. And this has many parts here. For all of those who are new to eFoiling and don't exactly know what to look for. And again, this is also really important why you need to ask someone specifically who's knowledgeable of that brand, that year, that model. And so you know what to look out for anything that, changed over the years between models. All right, so I'm just going to kind of keep numbering these. So number 6, inspect the board, deck, or hull for any significant damage such as cracks, large dings, or soft spots. These are red flags. If the integrity of the deck is compromised, expensive repairs or a new deck will be required. If you choose to buy a new deck, you will need to make sure that it is compatible with the mast and drivetrain and battery that you have from the purchase of the previous owner. This new deck is considered the hull or the body of the vessel, and it will come with its own HIN. This could potentially be a benefit for you, depending on the circumstance, because you will then have your own paperwork for registration, which might be easier for you, especially if the previous owner is missing some of that paperwork. Inspect this, number 7, or, B underneath damage inspections. I'm just going to keep numbering them because that's what I put on my outline here. So number 7, inspect the seals of the battery compartment and or the seal of the battery itself where applicable. Inspect other seals you may find on the mast and the handheld remote as well. And some boards will have a separate computer, which is often known as the ESC, the electronic speed control. And so, as we all know, electricity and water are not friends. So this is really important to look for any signs of water ingress. You can look for, some of them will have a clear covering over the computer where you can check for, or even the battery, like a little window, so you can check for the humidity inside. So you really want to check those seals. Even if it's your own board, periodically, and you own it already, check those seals periodically. All right, so number 8, inspect all cables, connections, and hoses as applicable. Number 9, check cables and connectors of the charger as well to make sure that it works properly and it's charging the battery. All right, so if there is no charger, that's a red flag. That's a red flag for pretty much any personal electric vehicle. If there's no red flag, it might have been stolen and the charger was at the owner's home. So if there's no charger, you really need to ask some questions. Double check that the charger for the remote is included as well. This might be a smaller cable and could easily be forgotten. Number 10, check the bolts and hardware to see if they are stripped or damaged in any way. Bolts can always be replaced, but it could be an indicator that there is damage to the inserts of the deck. So you can check the inserts, especially as you're assembling the board and testing it out. Number 11, inspect the mast for any damage. Check to see if it is bent, has any dings, Check if it flexes or moves significantly, especially after it's been assembled to the board. Number 12, check the prop or propulsion unit or units for wear and tear, if you have different props that come with it. Number 13, inspect the handheld remote. Check the trigger, the buttons, and make sure the screen is functioning with no signals or water damage. Number 14, check the condition of the wings and any included accessories. Number 15, inspect the battery carefully for any damage or evidence that it has been dropped. 16, look out for signs of corrosion, especially if the previous owner or owners used the eFoil in salt water. Very important. Number 7, also number 17. We're getting to the end here now. Buy in person. Test ride and buy in person if possible. The seller may even offer to give you a lesson if you have never foiled before. This is a common practice of official brand partners as well. So purchasing in person, not only will it give you the opportunity to see, touch, and hear, or even taste and smell the gear for yourself, you will be able to avoid potential costs, damages, and delays from shipping a large, heavy, expensive piece of equipment. That includes hazardous materials, very large lithium battery that could also provide some hiccups and delays and, whatever else, depending on where you're shipping it from, where you're shipping it to, and all that stuff. Sometimes it requires professional shipping. Actually, it does. Anything can happen during shipping, especially if not properly prepared and packaged and shipped by an experienced individual. Maybe packaged in the original box, does it have a case, things like that. So before we end here, I'd like to cover additional red flags. So again, that missing charger is a really big red flag that it could be stolen. And this is the case with any personal electric vehicle. And, if you're willing and you're able, you can gather some information from that person, the HIN, the serial number, and you can potentially help, the original owner get that board back if it was stolen. So you can gauge for yourself whether you're willing to try and do that. And again, that's another reason why you want to take another person with you if you're meeting someone at their personal house to purchase the eFoil. Obvious corrosion, that's going to be a big red flag. Damaged battery. The battery is a huge component and very expensive part of the purchase. So that's a big red flag. Typical, signs of scams: refusing to provide more information, pictures, videos. If the deal is too good to be true, it probably is. Just those typical kind of scam things, just be aware of that. There's a lot of scammers out there who are trying to scam people who are looking for cheap eFoils, because eFoiling is just so popular. Foiling in general is the fastest growing water sport there is. It's super customizable, super fun. It's amazing. So that's it. If you have any suggestions, comments, tips, anything else you'd like to suggest, I'd really appreciate it. Add it in the comments below. Again, check the pinned comments for any changes and additions that I or other people have submitted. And I'd really appreciate the subscribe and the like and all the rest of the good stuff. And of course, as always, I leave you with the saying and slogan of live life to the foilist. No matter what you have, used or new, whatever brand, it's going to be a magical experience. I love it. And no better place than eFoiling on Lake Powell, in my opinion. Favorite place in the world, favorite activity, living life to the foilist. See you next time.